my biggest drive right now is helping change the world through entrepreneurship. I think the easiest and fastest way is to get the people that are actually making plays in society in entrepreneurship, for them to teach and train and develop out their employees and then take care of their customers, right? Like that is the way that you can like change the fabric of society. I think so long there's been corporations that have just done things in the wrong way. Like they viewed their employees of like, you owe this to me, you're here for a paycheck only, right? Like just trading that versus like really changing people's lives. I just think it can impact millions, if not one day billions, which I'm stoked about. Yo, welcome to another episode of the Founder Podcast. Today, I got Mr. Daryl Kelly in the house. Welcome to the house, baby.
Thank you. Glad to be here. And
for those that are joining us on Spotify and YouTube, you probably noticed little Apple Vision Pro today. We're coming to you from the future.
And we have a much older and wiser person here. Chris, 40. You had your birthday recently?
Oh man, February 20th. For those that want to send me birthday cards next year. Yeah, dude, 40 years old.
So what'd you do for your 40th birthday?
Dude,
anything exciting?
Did some cool stuff.
Let's talk about it.
So yeah, on this episode, for those that are joining us, we're going to give you just kind of some highlights of different things that have been going on, a little behind the scenes. You guys have seen all the different podcast guests, different people that we've had. We've been filming all kinds of stuff. If you're not following me on social media, at ChrisLeeQB on Instagram, you can see stories and everything else that's going on. But yeah, dude, did some pretty crazy stuff recently. For the 40th, me and my wife, we took a 13-day trip out to India and Dubai. It was pretty dope.
So let's just start off with the flights out there. What did that look like?
Ooh, you know, let me just drop a little bomb for all of you guys right here. So if you guys have never flown first class overseas, like that is the only way that you can do it. And there's a lot of different tips and tricks out there. I know there's like credit card points and different ways that you can go that. We didn't go that route. There's actually this really cool website. It's called IOnlyFlyFirstClass.com.
Okay. And
highly recommend it. And no, I don't get an affiliate commission for anybody that that goes through there. But the cool thing is you can save like 50 to 60% on first class tickets. So all of a sudden, like a $10,000 ticket goes down to $4,000, where like a coach ticket is not that much cheaper. And so yeah, me and my wife, we flew first class both ways. It's a super long flight.
Yeah, yes it is. When you cross in the ocean, right, you're 9 hours minimum?
We actually, not only did we not cross, we actually flew over the North Pole. Ooh. And so we flew from Pasco over to Seattle to Qatar, and literally right over the top of it. And I think that was like a 14.5-hour flight.
If the earth is flat, though, how is that possible, Chris?
Ooh, you know, if the earth is flat, then you're actually just going right over the center point. And so that's...
But the center wouldn't be ice.
Dude, do you not know the flat earth theory?
No, not really.
Oh, man. So I'm not a flat earther, but I am intrigued by flat earthers. So the flat earth is actually that the North Pole is the center of the disk, and the ice wall is all the way around it. Oh. And that's Antarctica. And so flat earthers actually use flight patterns to justify why it works. They're like, yeah, you always fly over North Pole because that's how you, like, that's way faster than going like this. Like if you're going to Qatar, this is faster than going here. Mm. And so that's their whole argument. But yeah, 14.5 hours. It was actually Super Bowl Sunday that we flew out there. And so I got to enjoy, like I had a first class meal, watching the Super Bowl, laying down. My wife, I think, slept the whole time.
Who were you cheering for?
You know, it wasn't necessarily that I was cheering for anybody. So I'm not a huge sports bettor, but if I'm going to bet on anything, I always bet on what Vegas is going to take care of.
Okay.
And we know that Pfizer, you know, Pfizer is going to win out.
Okay.
And lo and behold, they did. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It was a good game that was close.
That was, man.
Wasn't it
overtime?
Yeah.
Overtime for anybody that enjoyed that. That was crazy.
So then your flight, how long was that?
So 14 and a half hours to Qatar, and then I think we had like 2 or 3 hours layover there, and then we were another 4.5 hours down to Goa, India.
So now I remember our first flight to Qatar back, 20 years ago or whatever that was.
That was out of Chicago, I think.
Out of Chicago?
Chicago, and then over.
And that wasn't first class.
No, we were but you know, with the first time flying that long, you're just so stoked on a huge jet that you got. I mean, back in, what was that, 2013?
Gosh, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was 2013. So 2013, I don't know if it was your first time, but that was my first time flying that far.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I flew to Brazil, but.
Probably very similar or whatever. And 10 years ago, it was not common to have, hold on, we got alarms going off. Let's go. So it wasn't very common to have like 200 movies on your back seat.
That's right.
And so I remember that being just such a cool thing 10 years ago. And so I just vegged, even though I was sitting straight up, didn't have the first class seat or whatever. My feet were probably swelling up to the size of balloons, but I had unlimited movies.
3 movies. So you got to Qatar. Did you spend the night there, or did you continue?
No, we were just there for like a couple hours. 2 or 3
nice.
hours.
So
flew down to Goa, got my first Hindu wedding. That was quite the experience.
So tell us about what you thought or what you initially experienced that caught your attention.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about traveling internationally, especially like more third world countries or whatnot, it's like just gives you a perspective on culture. And so anybody that hasn't done it, highly recommend it, that you get outside of your comfort zone, go and spend some time in the third world. India is still definitely there. Like the extreme levels of like poverty and wealth are unbelievable. Like some of my Harvard friends, I mean, they're basically living like billionaires, being worth a few million or several million or whatever else over there. And then you just have like almost like this servant class that are just, they're only to be seen, not heard type deal. It was very interesting. But the wedding was like crazy. My friend, her dad had rented out this whole beachfront resort, and there was like 12 of us from Harvard that were attending, which was really cool. But yeah, I had sent over the measurements of me and my wife to my friend, and she had us all custom Indian clothes.
I saw that. So you had like 3 outfits?
I had 3 outfits made, 5 outfits total. So we had to do 5 outfit changes or 4 outfit changes.
And why would you do an outfit change?
Because kind of based on the ceremony of what you were doing. So like they had like different things that you're supposed to dress. And like the first night, or you get there for lunch, it was like you're supposed to wear like just kind of easy breezy clothes. And then for dinner, you're supposed to wear Western or I forgot what it was. And then there's like this one part of the celebration which you've probably seen on movies, where everybody dresses in like yellow and orange. And they take turmeric paste, and it gets like spread all over the bride and the groom's face. It's supposed to like help them glow. And they're like in a bath of this stuff, and like you come in and you like, there's actually a video of me doing where I go up to Saloni and just like put it all over her face. It's pretty funny. But I mean, dude, there's like flower petals flying around. I mean, dude, bands playing, they got all kinds of food. It was like a crazy celebration for 2.5 days. And they take their wedding seriously over
So what time in the morning did it start? What time at the night did it end?
So breakfast started around 9 o'clock, and then it finished like every night around 11. I mean, you have little breaks in between or whatnot, but it was like literally all day, every day for 2.5 days.
So you're eating most of the time, you're dancing, you're singing, what are you doing?
Dancing, sitting around talking, different activities that are going on. It was cool. Like the first night they had like all the different family, just like celebrating, going, and they had like different people go up and dance, and they had like skits essentially of dancing. And it's funny. One of our friends, Gary, was there, and he's like, dude, he's like, he got some from like ChatGPT. He's like, dude, go rap this in front of everybody.
Why would he ask you to rap?
Oh, dude, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna rap. He's like, dude, you are white. Anything you do goes, dude. He's like, people just want to hear from you. It was funny because me and my wife were the only white people at this event, which was cool. I loved it. One of the comments my wife made was like, man, you realize being here and being in Dubai, that like most of the world is not white, like, you know, and like, and it's so good to come to those realizations, like just get outside of yourself. We live in such a bubble, especially here in the US. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's every time I get outside of the bubble, that's always a quick realization that I have, like, man, we are so sheltered. We're told one thing and it's something completely different. That's really why I love international travel.
Just talking about a bubble, I can remember when I went to Brazil, this was in 2001, December 2001, so right after 9/11.
Yeah.
So leaving the United States, everyone was like, let's go to war, like good cause, like we need to go to war, we need to get the bad guy. I go to Brazil and it's the complete opposite. And I heard everybody.
What do you mean, like don't go to
war? Don't
war?
go to war. So everyone had the same sayings. They were like, let's go put Saddam Hussein and George Bush in a boxing match till the death. Mm. And like I'd hear that from everybody. And I'm like, these guys are just being told what to think. And I was like, wait, I'm being told what to think. You know, so it is pretty fascinating how the
propaganda is crazy.
Propaganda happens, yeah.
Dude, and it's crazy how government in the US and everywhere else, like we're so controlled. I think I told you this the other day, but like one of the craziest things I was told while I was in India is like, so they have this president that they really love. He's right at the end of his 2 5-year terms or whatever. In 2015, he came out, not a lot of Indians had bank accounts. Mm-hmm. Most of them were living on cash and gold, right? And to force it, like this is crazy. This is straight dictator crap. He comes out and he's like, you got 48 hours to put your money into the bank. Otherwise, these certain denominations of cash are no longer worth anything. And it was similar to like if we came out in the US and said the $100 bill will no longer be able to be used in 48 hours.
Wow.
And the mad rush of people taking money out from underneath their mattresses and setting up a bank account for the first time, like drastically changed that country. And it's interesting because even though it was like straight dictator crap and most people would have been like pissed about it, I'd be pissed, right? Like I'd be like, oh, whose government think they are or whatnot. It actually super progressed the country. It got them to a point where almost everybody had a bank account. All of a sudden, their wealth was able to be accounted for. They were able to start leveraging for debt and be able to, and so the amount of progress that India's had in the last 9-10 years since this thing happened is like crazy. And so it just, I don't know, government's interesting, right? Like
plays a bigger role than you realize.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always like, what's too much government? What's too little government? Like, is it for your good? Is it for your detriment? I don't know.
I mean, that's like parenting,
right?
Right. You think the best thing to do is control your kids where they can't make a bad decision, but it's like,
right.
There's got to be a balance where there's control and there's just agency.
But sometimes forcing a buck, even though everyone thinks like being forced is terrible, sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
Right. Like you just don't know.
So going back to India, so 3 days at this wedding ceremony.
3 days of the wedding, then went and spent 4 days up in a place called Udaipur. It's in the state of Rajasthan.
Okay, so why did you go? This is real close, or is it?
No, it was like 3-4 hour flight type deal.
So you flew up
So it was kind of like flying across the country or whatever. I just asked people like where a good spot was. This is kind of like the Venice of India, if you will.
Okay.
And we just thought it would be a really cool spot. We'd heard there's really good service and cool hotels and different things like that. So we decided to go. But the crazy thing was like all of a sudden, I let the people, my Harvard people down at the wedding know. And one guy's like, dude, I got a brother-in-law up there. He's like, he's going to take care of you. And before you knew it, like he had set up where I had a driver and a guide for 4 days up in Udaipur, like through this guy's brother-in-law. And it was like totally taken care of. Like, you know, the one thing, and this is key for anybody like that's on here as an entrepreneur that you realize, like networking, when you serve people in a non-transactional way, like that's the power of real networking, right? Mm-hmm. Like when these people totally served me with no expectation of a transaction, no money, no I scratch your back, you scratch mine type deal. And I was just so blown away, like how these guys, like this brother-in-law, he didn't even know who I was, and he paid for a freaking, you know, a tour guide and a driver for me. It's just like, dude, what? Like that is so cool. And like, that's just like the type of person that I want to be in my network, is just like serve. And so I thought that was really cool.
So you spent how much time up there?
We spent 4 days.
And what was cool about that place, or what did you witness? Or
you know, experience? They had man-made lakes that had been there for like 400 years, where they like built the cities, and then they canaled in these water, and so basically the water goes right up to these buildings. And they had like this castle that was like, looks like it was floating out in the middle of the lake, that they've now converted to a hotel. You know, but the crazy thing is, like, you're in these luxury 5-star resorts. You go 2 blocks and all of a sudden there's like cows and elephants in the street, and like garbage, and people living in like lean-tos and everything. It's just like, man, it really makes you appreciate where we live.
Yeah.
You know, like the worst part of the United States is not worse than any of these places. You know, that's the crazy thing. It's like we've got it so good.
Have you been to LA lately?
Dude, I'm telling you, like I'm sure LA is like, you know, looks terrible, but like you go, I mean, dude, and probably the most baffling thing, I mean, you experienced this in Nepal, but like these people are trained crazy drivers.
Yeah.
Like, dude, and we're asking my driver, like, we're talking like, you know, 1 lane becomes 7, right? Like, I mean, and it's just like people navigating, you know, and you got these cross streets with no lights, and everybody's just kind of squeezing their way in, and there's scooters, and there's tuk-tuks, and there's cars, and there's, and you know, you got garbage cars, and you got Ferraris, and like, dude, I mean, like literally like so many different levels of income of vehicles and stuff like that all going through. And I'm asking them, like, how often are you seeing wrecks or deaths or whatnot? And they're like, never. I'm just like, dude, how is that possible? Because this is like, it's pure insanity, but they're like trained on it. Like they've just learned to survive in this like insane, and they're used to it, and they know no difference.
So 4 days there. What you like most about that area?
Just, I mean, the hotels and stuff were super dope. Like, we stayed in a converted castle, an old castle, and, you know, we went and we toured some of the different places, going to the shops. I love being amongst the people and kind of down on the street, buying the fruit on the street, on the stands. We found an elephant that was like walking down a main street, and we went and got, you know, fed him bananas and stuff, which was pretty dope. The other crazy thing is, in India, the cow is sacred.
Yep.
And so there's like cows walking everywhere, and the community just takes care of them. Like, they're literally just sitting in the middle of the street, and like if you kill a cow, you're like terrible human being. Like, they're basically like a god. And so that was interesting. I was also vegetarian most of the trip because there weren't any meat options. Like, because a lot of Hinduism, most of them believe in being vegetarians, which was interesting.
So then you spent 4 days there. Then where'd you go? What'd you do?
Then we headed over to Dubai.
Oh, that's right, Dubai.
And for those haven't experienced Dubai, like, Dubai quickly became my favorite city in the world.
Tell us more.
Man, I mean, it's just so advanced. Everything's been built in the last 20 years. You guys have all seen either pictures, videos, or have been there. But it's like you can experience Hawaii and the best parts of New York and everything, like, all in one, right? Like,
that's a good way to put it.
like you go out to the Palm Island, and it's literally like you're in the tropics. Great sun, great water, great beaches, great service, great hotels, real vacation vibe. You go downtown, you're down at the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world. Literally, I looked it up. It's twice the height of the Empire State Building.
Wow.
I mean, the Empire State Building was the tallest building in the world till what, 1960, 1970. This thing's twice that height. And so, you're down there and just like everything's so picturesque. I think the thing I love most about Dubai, it's like Vegas times 10 on like architecture and just straight like craziness. But dude, no sin, right? Like, or very little. Like you got a very religious, God-fearing people there. Wearing religious clothing versus not wearing. There's actually more people wearing robes and stuff than there aren't, which is, and obviously I'm not of the Muslim or the Hindu faith or anything like that, but like I think I just have such a mad respect for anybody that's able to be that disciplined, pray 5 times a day. Wherever they're at, they pull out their prayer mat, or you're walking through like the public airport and they have prayer rooms and everything. I think that's just like they are where the U.S. used to be, right? Like the U.S. was founded on one nation under God and all this stuff, and like God was definitely a part of society. We've tried removing that so much. There, it's still like it's woven into the fabric of who they are, which I just think is like so cool.
Yeah.
Whether or not I agree with their beliefs, just the fact that they're able to not separate it so much, and it's part of their everyday life.
So what'd you do in Dubai? What was some of the highlights?
Dude, so many cool things. We for my birthday on the 20th, we had dinner at the highest restaurant in the world, 123rd floor of the Burj Khalifa. My buddy Otto hooked it up. He got us this real nice spot. Also went swimming on the 43rd floor of the Burj. They have like a swimming pool for residences. My buddy put us up. He's got a condo that he just hooks up like his good friends with to stay in. So he put us up for a couple nights there. That was super highlight. We went to the gold market. They have this like blocks and blocks of stores that only sell gold, and they have like these security guards coming in and out with like gold bars where they're making stuff.
Jeez.
Dude, it was so cool.
So what are they selling? Just like gold chains, gold
Dude, like
bars?
anything,
like
gold chains, rings, bars, like anything. So this is actually white gold. I had it done there. We had my wife, they sell diamonds down there. We had a ring designed for my wife, which was really cool. Had it made in like 2 days.
How were prices? Higher, lower?
The crazy thing is they're doing it almost at like the cost of gold, right? Like there's like almost no making cost, which and so I don't know exactly how they're like. There's a lot of like buying and selling and different things like that. So obviously they're making their margin. But interesting place. They also had like the spice market that was right next to it, and we bought like frankincense and myrrh, kind of some cool stuff for Christmas. But that was fun, kind of just being amongst the people. Dubai is interesting because you have such an advanced city, but they also have like a very low minimum wage, and so you have like this third world element of labor. That are coming in. Sure, they're making like 3 times as much as they would in India, but they're only making like $350 a month there. But one of the things my buddy pointed out, he's like, yeah, but we're also taking care of their housing and their food, and so they're sending all that money back to India where they would have only been making like $100 a month. And so it's a very interesting, cool. I mean, dude, more Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces than you can imagine. And then we spent a couple days out at the Palm Island, and but probably the craziest thing about Dubai is like how much building's going on. Like there's literally a crane, like probably 1,000 cranes within view. Like, I mean, and it's just like skyscraper going up, being built. And like, dude, they're occupying these things and selling them like hotcakes. It's crazy.
Wow. So who's all moving? Do you know, did he talk about who's moving into Dubai?
Yeah, tons of Indians. 40% of Dubai is from India.
Okay.
And so, yeah, tons of that going on. Tons of, just a lot of foreign investment coming in. Only 10% are native from Dubai. And, oh, dude, here's a crazy fun fact about Dubai. Unless you're a native, you cannot become a citizen.
Unless you're a native.
Like,
so they don't
like for example, I'll give you an example. My buddy Otto, his dad's from India.
Okay.
Otto was born in Dubai. He's not a citizen of Dubai, even though he was born in Dubai.
Because his parents aren't.
Because his parents aren't.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like out of the Indian families, there's 40% of the 4 million population, right, is Indian. So what is that? 1.6 million. There's only 4 people that they've granted a Dubai passport. Otto's dad is one of them.
So he's not a citizen, but he has a passport.
So I think as a passport, you're granted citizenship, but your kids aren't.
Oh.
And so the crazy thing is Otto has to renew his visa. He lives there on a visa. Every 10 years he has to renew it. Or
they'd kick him out to where?
To India, which she's not even from. It's the craziest thing. But the thing is like the Indian population, everybody else is so woven into the fabric, they couldn't like just not renew their, right? Like otherwise it would shut down their economy.
Yeah.
And but it's pretty wild from that standpoint. The other crazy thing, no income tax. And I think as a business, you only pay something like it's 9%.
But that's recent, right?
That's all recent. Previously, there was no business tax. And so, basically everything you made got poured right back into the economy because it wasn't going. But there's also government-owned companies, which I think is an interesting thing.
Well, I think there could be a lot of good things from government-owned companies that are ran the right way.
Right. And so they have it structured. The government-owned companies are ran like private businesses, right? They have like shared ownership interests and different things like that. And there's like, board of directors and everything else that are running these companies. So like there's a developer, actually the one that built the Burj Khalifa. It's called MR. They own like all that downtown. That's all government owned and leased out. And so this is the way that, instead of taxing the people, they're actually providing real value and running like a capitalistic structure so that they don't have to tax the people to death.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is, I just thought, super unique. And it's interesting because they have kings and princes and everything else there. So the UAE, United Arab Emirates, is 7 different kingdoms, right? And each is ran kind of on its own. So you have Dubai, Abu Dhabi, I don't know what the other 5 are, but each has their own prince. And the difference, so Abu Dhabi and Dubai are about an hour apart. Dubai, all of its thriving over the last 20 years has been under the same prince. And he's made the sheikh is what they call him. This sheikh, he's actually has a few books written on him. He's like very forward thinking and everything else. And he's taken all of his philosophy on capitalism and everything and just made this place explode. Meanwhile, over in Abu Dhabi, it's interesting. All new development is from the government. So like if they want to develop this land, the government's developing it and then selling it off to homeowners or whatever else. So they're doing the building, but they're beginning to shift over to more of like Dubai's type structure.
Gotcha.
Because they've seen how well it's worked for them.
Yeah. And so you were there in February, so weather was pretty good.
Amazing. So yeah, high of mid 70s, 75 to 80 degrees.
Which their summer, it's...
Yeah, I've heard it's terrible. It's like 120 or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you're going to go, definitely go in the winter. But yeah, I think just for me as a business owner, like looking at like the capitalistic, like how they run everything, like that's got me intrigued. In a different life, I would live in Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's such a cool spot.
So gone for 13 days, come home. How was the flight home?
Dude, amazing. Once again, dude,
First class.
when you're flying laying down, you can't argue with that.
And then now what were some of the, so being gone that long, right? When you came back, where was the fire in your belly pointing you towards? What are you focusing on right now? What's going on?
Well, I mean, of course, so we've, if you guys haven't been following on social media, we spent the last couple months recording a course. And essentially, I know there's a lot of courses and gurus and crap like that out there, but basically what we've taken is everything that we've learned over the last 20 years of running businesses, and we've recorded it and consolidated it into this course that outlines culture, offer, accountability, and leadership. And within that is, your sales, your marketing, your structure, the way you recruit, the way they do everything. So I actually finished recording that right before I went on that trip, about 14 hours worth of content, 140 plus videos. And so we're rolling this out, which I'm super excited. It's targeted towards home service businesses, as you know, but it's something that every business, every industry could even get behind and be a part of, because it's the same principles that govern any industry.
For sure. Yeah, it's been interesting, right? Because we do masterminds, we have this course, we do weekly calls. There's a lot of it's interesting thinking back of like if we had different resources or insights when we were growing our business, what we would do differently.
Right.
And I think that's what this is all about, right? I had a phone call with a friend who's running a business, and he was just asking me like, what would you do differently? What would you do if you were me? And it's just interesting the way you think when you're doing something for the first time versus after experiencing it and looking back and learning. There's just so much more that you can share and understand.
Yeah, like we had success later on, like both you and I started several businesses prior to running SoulGen, and first one was a big massive failure. And you can learn one of two ways. You can either learn through experience, which is a bunch of time, effort, and money that goes into it, or you can learn by paying for education, essentially. And so the cost of our education, or at least my education, was bankruptcy, multiple failed businesses, multiple just plateaus, small businesses, a lot of time, a lot of energy, spending $1 million on personal education and going to Harvard and all this stuff. Like that was the cost that we put in.
Yeah.
Where like things like this course, you have the ability to fast track everything that I've gone through, that you've gone through, that our team has gone through, and be able to learn and work directly with our team, which is what I'm really excited about. So I'm like super excited that we're launching this course. It's called Next Level Home Pros. There's probably like a link in the bio of this video, but yeah, just I'm passionate about it because everything that we've gone through over the last 20 years is put into this, and then the fact that we're going to be helping implement this course, right? So people will watch the videos, do it at their own pace, and then there will be weekly calls with you, with me, with our team to be able to answer questions and see like real time implementing it. And so like that's the thing I'm super, super stoked about, because for me, it's all about like, how can I leverage my impact? And a course allows us to do that because people can learn from me and you and the rest of our team without us physically being there.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think that's the power of technology. I mean, here I am wearing the Apple Vision Pros, right? Like there's so much power in technology, and that's what this course is like amplifying technology. We can be in everybody's smartphone, everybody's living room, everyone's office, right there, answering questions, learning and sharing our knowledge. And so, my biggest drive right now is helping change the world through entrepreneurship. I think the easiest and fastest way is to get the people that are that are actually making plays in society in entrepreneurship, for them to teach and train and develop out their employees and then take care of their customers, right? Like that is the way that you can like change the fabric of society. I think so long there's been corporations that have just done things in the wrong way. Like they viewed their employees of like, as just like, you owe this to me, you're here for a paycheck only, right? Like just trading that versus like really changing people's lives and whatnot. And so that's what I'm excited about this course, is because we teach people how to build culture, how to develop people out, and I just think it can impact millions, if not one day billions, which I'm stoked about.
Which, you know, if you think about it, our education system, right? It's does not build entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
There's even entrepreneur classes. I remember taking an entrepreneur class in college. And I even remember like hearing people say, I'm going to be a business owner when I grow up. And I'm thinking like, what does that even mean?
Right.
And, you know, having experienced what I've experienced now and in looking back, I'm like, every time I hear someone like, yeah, I want to start a business. I want to get into business. I'm like, how are you going to do that? And, usually they usually don't have a good plan.
Right.
And, you know, I think what we're trying to do is not get people to become entrepreneurs as much as accelerate those who have started the process,
right,
and need to jump up a little bit faster, get through the hurdles and the learning curves, and identify the opportunities a little bit faster. Because I mean, that's what took us quite a while, right? We were like, let's try everything.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's go. No shortage of passion and effort, but just a lot of misdirected energy. And it's funny too, because when you sit down and talk to people, they're not big changes that people need to make.
Right.
They're small, tiny changes. And if you look at it, everything in life is that way. If you look at your health,
couple fine tunes.
Look at your relationships.
Yep.
Look at your business, your finances, your children. You fine tune things a little bit, and
even a little mentality shift, right? Like a lot of it's just like a mentality, the way that you look at things, right? Yeah. Like people's relationships with money, people's relations.
Let me bring up something, because this has been interesting. We've been partners for, what's the number you say? I don't even know how long it's been.
19 years or something.
19 years. It's been a while.
Yep.
So one of the biggest mentality shifts I think that I've had to make is I was thinking about this actually this morning, but when I grew up, right, it was like your word is your bond, right? You've heard that.
Yep.
But like, you cannot bond the future. Or in other words, you cannot say, hey, like this is how it's all going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times people shoot short because there's no security in saying, hey, I'm going to build something that doesn't exist.
Right.
And so it's like the mentality shift, which is, you know, because if you look at like my dad, right? He's an honest guy. He's going to do exactly what he says. He's never going to deviate. He's never going to like, you can always count on
right.
His word is his bond. What he says he's going to do.
And so he thinks very small because he knows he can control it.
Well, I think in general,
right.
It's not that he thinks small. He knows what he can do, and that's what he does, right? But as an entrepreneur, you have to operate in this like unknown.
Right.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, we're going to do this, but half of what this is unknown.
Right.
Half of what you're going to accomplish. And so this mentality shift of I have to guarantee the unknown.
Yep.
Right. And figure out how to get through all that. I think that's probably one of the scariest, hardest things I think for people to the mentality shift that has to happen in a real entrepreneur to like take it to the next level. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, dude. There's just, I mean, and there's lots of different shifts. That's even just one piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
I think of like, I do consider you phenomenal at sales. And I think what's interesting is, your personality, you do not hear people. You only hear your vision. Mm-hmm. Right. So when you're selling someone a product, you're not hearing their objectives as loud as you're hearing the opportunity and the benefit that this person gets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what I had to learn as a sales guy was to quiet down that voice of like every concern someone says is valid concern, because most of them aren't. They're smoke screens, or they're based off of something that's not true.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just fascinating to think of like what we're we've experienced, but also what we're trying to allow others to experience, and how to make those shifts.
Absolutely. So for those that are watching, if you're wanting to make that shift, we'd love to have you be a part of our Next Level Home program, that course. So we've now launched it. There's access. You can just go ahead and click on the links or whatnot, or you can head on over to nextlevelhomepros.com. You'll be able to figure out how to be a part of it. With that, the way it's going to be set up, like I said, there's going to be weekly phone calls with Q&As. You're going to be a part of a community. A lot of you guys have seen Alex Hormozi. He's been promoting his new platform, School, SKOOL.com. Next Level Home Pros is actually going to be hosted on that. So that's going to be the platform. Indexed 140 videos that you can learn through at your own pace. Just super stoked about it. But yeah, we got a lot of exciting things coming up.
Yeah.
So far 2024 has been absolutely amazing. On the day that we're filming this, we're February 29th, which only happens every 4 years. Super dope. First 2 months have been like absolutely bangers, and yeah, just super excited for 2024 and everything that has to offer.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Things are always happening faster and faster, and it's fun to be a part of it, and fun to see how life unfolds.
Nice. So if you want to unfold with us, come on, baby. Join the community. Appreciate you. Until next time.